Hi, everyone. Welcome to week 7. Moving along fairly quickly. So this week is on criminal law. There's a lot to squeeze in this week. We actually have an entire course, CRJ101, dedicated to this 1 week of this course. So I'm not going to try to push too much to you into you over the next 7 days or in this video. So really what we need to understand is what's the purpose of law? And if you read through the slides, the lecture for this week, you'll identify that laws are designed to kind of maintain order in a society. They're designed to regulate human behavior and enforce moral beliefs. So if we take those top three criteria of what law is, it kind of explains why we create laws in order to protect individuals and companies and corporations and entities throughout the country. So the types of law are statutory law, case law, common law, administrative law, civil law, procedural law. So statutory law is laws that are created based upon necessity, essentially like speeding. Nobody thought about saying, okay, the posted speed limit on this road is 65 miles an hour in 1762. We didn't have vehicles and nobody was running their horses that fast. So there was no need to post a speed limit. So statutory law takes into account the changes in society and our needs to create laws. Another example would be that the lack of a law in the Megan Meir story. Megan Meir was a juvenile that was tormented by this boy who ended up actually being the mother of a girl down the street. Megan was on an old social media platform called MySpace. The boy befriended her, told her that he loved her, thought she was the greatest thing, and then flipped on her and told her that the world would be better off without her. Later that evening, her mother and father found her upstairs hanging in her closet. She had died. The mother, through some research and in private investigation, figured out that it was the mother down the street. There's nothing that law enforcement or the district attorney's office could do about it because there were no laws about impersonating individuals online or online bullying. As a result of that case, statutory law kicked in and laws were written to account for that type of behavior. Case law is the law of the land. Essentially, the best known case law is Miranda versus Arizona, 1966. An individual must be read and informed of their legal rights upon arrest. We all know that, the Miranda warning. So any type of case that the United States Supreme Court rules on becomes case law. It cannot be changed. Roe versus Wade, Brown versus the Board of Education, Weeks versus Ohio, Mapp versus Ohio. There's so many cases, and we'll cover a lot of those in the criminal law class. Common law is basically religious law. It was carried over from England, but throughout Europe, everybody follows common law, just as we still do here. Thou shalt not murder, thou shalt not rape, thou shalt not, a variety of covet thy neighbor's wife. There's a lot of laws that are considered common law. They're just common throughout the lands that it's wrong to take somebody else's life. That doesn't matter if you're in Japan, if you're visiting Cape Hope, or if you're up at the top of Canada. Taking somebody's life is illegal. Civil law is they're a series of laws that are designed to protect individuals. They're really torts. So if you get a car accident and the person was negligent, the key word is negligent, meaning that they were operating the car as to endanger somebody else, then you could sue them civilly for monetary damages. We see that in a lot of cases that first start off as criminal, and then when the defendant is found guilty in the criminal trial, then the plaintiff or what were the victims of the crime can then sue civilly for damages. The difference between a criminal trial and a civil trial, however, though, is that the jury in a criminal trial must find the person guilty beyond all reasonable doubt. That means that all 12 members of the jury must agree that the individual is guilty. However, in a civil trial, it must be the preponderance of the evidence, which is 51% of the jury. So out of 12 people, you just need 7 to say, yes, the person's guilty. The next level is administrative law. Administrative law is essentially laws that you and I don't necessarily see every day or are aware about. If we're in a classroom, we have to have 2 exits. If you're in any type of industrial area or store, there needs to be overhead sprinklers. That's administrative law. This is how we construct a building. This is how we operate. You got to put that yellow sign up if you've mopped in Walmart. That's an administrative law. Procedural law is the last part of this. And procedural law, it directly impacts the courts. It essentially says this is the layout of a trial. Whether it's a civil trial or a criminal trial, this is the layout. And if you call witnesses, then those witnesses have a right to be questioned, but they also have a right for cross-examination from the other side. So that the procedural laws make sure that our adversarial system works in a correct, in fair manner for both the plaintiff or the defendant or the defense and the prosecution. The last part, well, the next part of this is the categories of crime. Categories of crime, we've all heard of the terms misdemeanors and felonies. Those are categories of crimes. Felonies are the most serious crimes that we have in the state of Massachusetts. Then we have misdemeanors. And then there are inchoate offenses. Inchoate offenses are often confused with just kind of like accessories or accessory before and after the fact. Inchoate offenses are you attempted to do something, you solicited somebody to do something for you, or you planned something that maybe you didn't carry out the act. Maybe you planned to off your partner. Well, just because you planned it makes you guilty of an inchoate offense, and you can go to prison for that. The planning of killing somebody is a conspiracy. You've planned it out with two or more people, and now you're in a conspiracy to commit a crime. The last area is state offenses. These are the most serious offenses in the country. This would be treason and espionage. So this brings me to the point of what are the features of a crime. So we all know that there has to be some type of intent. But what is intent? How do we define intent? So there's 2 ways to look at intent. There's actus reus and mens res. Actus reus is the guilty act, that I went and hit the person with a baseball bat. Hitting the person with a baseball bat, I am guilty of battery. More accurately, I'm guilty of assault and battery with a dangerous weapon. My act is the hitting. Mens rea is the guilty mind. That means that I have planned or I thought about doing something. I knew that I was going to do this. Now, my guilty mind, my mens rea, could have been 6 months ago when I planned to hit the person with the bat. Or it could be in the moment, but I knew I was doing it. I wasn't a robot. Somebody else wasn't controlling me. I had a guilty mind. Now, can you have a guilty mind but not a guilty act? Yes, I just explained this with conspiracy or inchoate crimes. But can I have a guilty act without a guilty mind? Absolutely. You can still have a guilty act but not have meant to engage or perform in that act. Think of it this way. You're at a bar with your friends. Somebody bumps you, they push you, and in defense, you strike and hit the person. Now, your guilty act and guilty mind would be the battery, but the person slips, falls, and bumps their head on the bar and dies. Was your guilty mind to kill that person? Absolutely not. You may have said, I'm going to hit you back. I may harm you, but I don't want to kill you. But the person died. So can you be found guilty of a guilty act without having a guilty mind? Absolutely. That's where manslaughter 1 and manslaughter 2 come in. That you did something harmful to another person, but the end result was they died. You may not have intended that, but your action was harmful at the beginning, at the start of the crime. So that's criminal law for the week in my overview. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me, and I hope you enjoy the week.